Good morning, everybody. The architecture of health. So our theme this month is the architecture of living based on the book, The Architecture of All Abundance by Leandra Carroll. I was saying Leandra, and it's Leandra. She is the mother of Jewel, who is a pop artist. And I didn't bring the book. I was going to bring it back again today, but I've been using it each week, so I'll have it again next week. But today we're going to look at a section of this book which is titled The Architecture of Health. But first I have a little short story. So this takes place at a nursing home in Miami. There's a group of seniors and they're sitting around talking about their ailments, as sometimes they're known to do. "My arms have gotten so weak I can hardly lift this cup of coffee," said one. "Yes, I know," said another. "My cataracts are so bad I can't even see the coffee cup." "I couldn't even punch out the chat at election time. My hands are so frail," volunteered a third. "I can't turn my head because of the arthritis in my neck," said a fourth, which several nodded weakly in agreement. "My blood pressure pills make me dizzy," explained another. "I guess that's the price we pay for getting up in years," winced an old man as he slowly shook his head. Well, the others nodded. "Well, we need to remember to count our blessings," said one woman cheerfully, "and just be grateful that we can all still drive."
Oh my God.
Oh, that one kind of hit a little home with me because my father is 92. And actually he was driving until about 4 months ago. So I think he's kind of backed off of that a little bit. So physical healing was a cornerstone in the birth of the New Thought movement in the mid-1800s. Often believed to be the father of New Thought, Phineas Quimby had a spiritual awakening as a result of a buggy ride that he took when he was near death. And he was suffering from consumption, or as we know it as tuberculosis. A friend suggested that he might feel better if he got outside in the fresh air. Makes me feel better, so that makes sense. So despite the very weakened condition that he was experiencing, Quimby hooked up the horse and buggy and took a ride. In the course of the ride, the horse got spooked and began to gallop out of control. Quimby struggled with the reins to get the horse and buggy stabilized, and after a little bit of effort, he was successful. When he finally stopped the buggy and took a couple of breaths, he realized that he felt alive, invigorated, more vital than he had felt in years. This led to a deep and profound study of the relationship between our mental state and our physical state. And because of this work, he came back from the brink of death and went on to live in health for many, many years. And that story is actually from the book Spirits in Rebellion by Charles Braden. That was one of the books we studied in depth when I was going through the ministerial courses. He was very influential, Quimby was, in the beginning of the New Thought movement. Regarding our health, we have two cornerstone beliefs. The first says there is nothing to heal, only our innate perfection to reveal. It's easy to remember. There's nothing to heal, only our innate perfection to reveal. Exactly the belief espoused in the chapter of this month's inspirational book entitled The Architecture of Health. So Carol writes, "Slowly and surely I have achieved wellness and vitality by building from the original blueprint of health that is embedded in my soul." Our second cornerstone belief is our thinking profoundly affects our physical state of being. This is no longer just a religious or spiritual belief. In fact, through his scientific research and delving into the way our physical universe operates, renowned American physicist David Bohm believes that there is a deeper and non-local level of existence from which our entire universe springs. He sees this deeper level of existence, comprised entirely of wave forms of differing kinds, as what he refers to as the implicate order, the originator and cohesive force of the cosmos. Bohm's research led him to understand that it is our intention and imagination that affect the creation of form. To quote him, "Every action starts from an intention in the implicate order," another way of saying in the great unformed potential. The imagination already has the intention and the germs of all the movements needed to carry it out, and it affects the body. So creation begins in the subtlest levels of the implicate order. Then it goes through the more subtle levels until it manifests in the outer, which is known as matter. In other words, he is saying that manifestation in the physical levels occurs by intention, imagination, and thought moving through the subtle levels of the implicate order until it manifests in matter, such as the body. He's describing the creative process, beginning with spirit all the way through form. This shows up in very real way of how our thoughts create our reality. So where did we hear that before? Our thoughts create our reality. Change your thinking, change your life. That's basically what we're here to experience and what we learn and what we teach every day. So more and more doctors and scientists are studying the ability of thought to bring about healing. One psychologist, Gene Achterberg, while head of the research and rehabilitation science at the University of Texas Health Science Center, helped validate this and she helped to develop imaginary healing techniques widely used in medicine with athletes. So using a group of college students, Achterberg taught them to imagine a white cell known as a neutrophil. She trained a second group of students to visualize another type of white cell, the T cell. Each group showed significant increase in the number of white cells that they imagined, but no increase in the white cells that they did not imagine. Dr. Carl Simonton uses such techniques with patients as well. While a radiation oncologist and medical director of the Cancer Counseling and Research Center in Dallas, he suggested to a patient that he could influence his own disease. The patient was a 61-year-old man with throat cancer so advanced that he was extremely weak and could barely swallow or even breathe. He had only a 5% chance of surviving. Simonton taught the man a very specific visualization therapy, and the results were so dramatic and the recovery so remarkable that Simonton and his colleagues taught their mental imaging technique to 159 cancer patients that were considered incurable. 4 years later, out of those 159, 14 of those terminal patients were disease-free. 17 had stabilized, and in another 12, the cancer was regressing. All in all, an astonishing 63 of these patients were still alive. Now, these had all been diagnosed as terminal. The body is amazingly responsive to our thoughts. Carroll writes, a thought laid down repetitively in the pliable wave field of the body creates a body memory or habit, a pattern. Unless this pattern is interrupted at the thought level, it will ultimately manifest in the physical as an interruption of the natural health of the body. Form follows thought. The body is taking information and direction from our thoughts continually. The prime tone of the thoughts directly affects the physical health. This is how thoughts filled with fear, worry, self-hatred, stress, anger, frustration, etc., can actually contribute to robbing us of our health, even creating specific ailments in our bodies. But here's a little good news, bad news, if there's such a thing as bad news. We can change our thoughts much faster than our bodies change, since they are far denser in its composition than thought is. In other words, it can take some time in our outer world of time and space for the body to catch up. The good news is that allows us to recognize and interrupt the thoughts that may create difficulty down the road. The bad news is that it also accounts for why, when we have understood and corrected an unhealthy pattern, the physical change might not immediately appear. Because by the time something appears, sometimes it takes a little time to reverse it back. The body needs a little time to catch up. And that's why repetition of visualization and relaxation is necessary. What often happens with us is that we become discouraged and we give up quickly. I know, I do. It's happened to me many times. If a healing takes too long, we abandon our practice and settle back into our old ways of thinking and being, which, remember, created the situation in the first place. This is like committing to take a car trip, say from Los Angeles to New York. But becoming, once you get to Las Vegas, we say, well, it's taking too long. I don't think we're ever going to make it to New York. I just don't see how that's going to happen. And turning around and coming back. We didn't stay. All we needed to do was stay on course and stay on track. And we need to do that no matter how many times we lose our way while changing an unhealthy pattern. So that's where our will comes in. Our will comes in to stay the course and know that Spirit is actually working for us constantly for our highest and best. The constant rerouting, the constant staying the course is what unavoidably interrupts the undesirable wave pattern being laid down in the body. By communicating consciously and lovingly with our body, there is really no limit to its capacity to respond. It can bring about our renewal to full health, heighten our vitality, and even slow aging. I'm signing up for that one. That sounds good. In Health is Our Birthright, a book of case studies from many years of practice, Dr. Ellen Jensen addressed the need to purify our mental processes. The body is a magnificent creation of God. It comes equipped with an innate intelligence and powerful energy to heal itself when given the opportunity. Keeping the mind free of debilitating thoughts is necessary to access this energy and intelligence. Feelings such as guilt, worry, fear, or anger can drain us of the vital energy that is so essential for a high quality of health and life. It can be difficult, no doubt, to interrupt these obsessive thoughts. When Leandra Carroll was trying to make strides in her ability to discipline her mind, she found the habit so deeply ingrained that it seemed hopeless. It was at the end of a relationship. Her mind replayed over and over the painful scenes that her boyfriend and her fears created about her future. It was so compelling that she couldn't remember anything else to think about when she asked herself to. Has anybody ever been there where we're just so obsessed in our minds about something that won't let it go? So to remedy this, she made flashcards for herself. And on them, she wrote several thoughts that would be beneficial for her to concentrate on. They included dreams that were neglected in her thoughts, her new business, or a more satisfactory living condition, or her love of music. They were the things to remind her what she could occupy her thoughts on, place her concentration on to create the life that she wanted. And she referred to them again and again when her mind chatter kicked up in there. Her life began to change in positive ways as she patiently but insistently allowed these flashcards to remind her of her dreams and the need of the present. So has anybody ever done that before? Anyone ever used those cards, those affirmation type cards? Because I know I have. In fact, I have 2 packs of them. Two packs of them that sit on my desk at work. And I bring them up constantly. If I start seeing that my mind's going off someplace where I don't want it, I'll bring this and bring myself back to that. I pull from them each and every day. So now we come to a burning question that many of us, spiritual students, which we all are, ask ourselves when we have a health issue that arises. And that is, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Midway through Jewel's spirit tour, Leandra and Jewel were both worn out, badly in need of rest and recuperation. She'd heard about a beautiful lodge in northern New Zealand and booked a few days so that they could just have a little break, take a respite, right? She was, looking forward to this downtime, a time to recharge. She showered quickly at the hotel, mentally preparing for the trip. The phone rang, and she stepped from the shower as she dashed to answer it. Who's run to get the phone? It's like, for some reason, we think we have it. Of course, very few of us have those home phones anymore, but a lot of times, you think, oh my gosh, I've got to answer the phone right away. And the next thing she remembered was hearing a frighteningly loud guttural cry that seemed to be from some distance away. Someone help her, she thought to herself. She's hurt. She did not realize that the sound was coming from her. She'd fallen on a wet tile floor, bashing her right temple against the doorknob. The fall left her with quite noticeable difficulties. In addition to a severe concussion and lateral whiplash, she suffered frequent episodes of ringing in her ears, followed by blackouts. There was damage to a blood vessel above her right ear, which affected her balance. Suffering chronic spasms in her right arm and shoulder, she lost 80% of their range of motion. She wrote, "We often wonder what we did wrong when such things occur in our lives, feeling guilty, thinking we did not get it right. We ask why we fell, got cancer, caught a cold, had a toothache. The question why can have a nagging inference that we did something wrong. As we become more conscious of the connection between our emotions, our living habits, and our bodies, we may even add derogatory judgment to the process. There is the chance that we have gone from making no connection, taking no self-responsibility, to blaming ourselves. How many of us can relate to that? I know I have asked myself, what did I do to bring this on to myself? We feel that if we were somehow more conscious, more spiritual, then this bad thing would not have happened. We take the internal blame for it. We get into self-judgment, even self-loathing. This does not support us, and in fact, it gets in the way of the clarity and wisdom that are available. Balanced and conscious assessment of an experience is helpful. It's important to connect with our thoughts and feelings and know that they are connected with the actions of our body. It's valuable to ask questions. However, being unduly critical or shaming ourselves keeps us locked in the condition, not in the solution. And we never want to stay in the condition. We always want to go to cause, where all solution and power is. So when a health challenge comes our way, what if instead of asking, what did I do wrong, we ask, how can I bring myself back to what I know to be true? That I am whole, I am safe, I am perfect, and I am a divine manifestation of spirit. How do I get to that understanding again? Here's how it went for our heroine. Leandra naturally wondered about her injury. When she asked her body, she understood that it was a simple matter of being out of balance. She had just been through a long and intense work period. She was tired and hard-pressed to find time for rest and recreation. She began to seek knowledge for her recovery. Through the near 3 years of the healing process, 3 years of the healing process, her focus was not on her difficulties. She did not overlook or deny her injury, pain, or frustration. She experienced and moved through them when she felt them, but her focus was on what could be done to recover. The injuries were serious, but she knew without a doubt that her body could regenerate. The incident served as an impetus for her to commit to a more active life, strengthening her body for the extensive travel and activity that she participates in. She also restructured her schedule to allow for more rest and personal creativity. That's where that balance comes in. Because we want to do it all, and we all want to do it all right now, but we need balance. 2.5 years later, due to these efforts, she was actually in far better health than she was before the fall. What a gift. Wow. So remember, our 2 cornerstone beliefs are: there is nothing to heal, only innate perfection to reveal. And our thinking profoundly affects our physical state of being. Listen to these words of beauty and power. I have not come to health by wishing for it, by laying myself in the hands of others, or by ignoring the problems that were affecting it. I tried all of these approaches, of course, without success. I count my health today from the moments when ill, dying, or suffering physically that I realized I had the wisdom within me for my healing. I count my health today from the times I looked kindly but unflinchingly at myself and began to change the thoughts and the habits that did not serve me. I count my health from the blueprint that already exists in my soul. The blueprint that already exists in my soul. Wow. Let us remember to do just that. And so it is.